The Chesapeake Bay Watershed is a defining feature of the Mid-Atlantic and spreads throughout Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, Delaware, Pennsylvania, New York, and D.C. People have used the bay for thousands of years as a source of food, water, and recreation. Currently, it plays an enormous role in the economy of the states it encompasses.
The money that the Chesapeake Bay itself generates is in the billions each year, whether that's through fishing licenses, recreation, just anything surrounding the bay, tourism.
We still catch a lot of wild seafood in the bay. We need a clean bay to grow the seafood that we farm. We farm oysters.
In this area, an enormous amount of the population actually relies on surface water for drinking. And so the water needs to be clean. If it's not clean, then it taxes the systems that have to clean it in order to make drinking water.
I can't think of a way that it's not important. I think it touches everything.
However, in recent decades, the bay has been overrun with pollution, the largest contributing factor being the millions of pounds of nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment that reach the bay each year, contaminating the water and affecting wildlife. Not to mention the addition of plastics, sewage, storm runoff, and other waste that also ends up in the bay and its surrounding waters. So what's causing this pollution?
So for the Chesapeake, the really big issues deal with water quality. They deal with two nutrients, nitrogen and phosphorus, and also sediment. Too much of those nutrients cause low dissolved oxygen. They fuel algae blooms, which when the algae decomposes, it sucks in the oxygen from the water and denies that oxygen to the fish.
The two other kind of big sources that we have not gotten as good a handle on are stormwater and agriculture pollution.
Stormwater runoff from areas that are urban or suburban is actually one of the only parts of the pollution to the bay that's getting worse instead of getting better.
Pennsylvania has kind of an issue with nutrient pollution, but that's just because they have a lot of farms.
The Chesapeake Bay's current environmental state is concerning, but not hopeless.
The current environmental state of the Chesapeake is a little bit mixed.
A lot of the tributaries to the bay had a lot of issues going on until there was an increased focus on the Chesapeake Bay.
Our creeks and our streams locally in Montgomery County either run into the Potomac River or run into the Anacostia River, depending on where you live. And both of those rivers have significant levels of pollution.
So the Chesapeake is degraded. That's why there's a huge restoration project going on. But the restoration campaign that's underway is world-renowned.
Luckily, the watershed isn't on its own. There are many organizations dedicated to protecting and maintaining it. They offer everything from cleanup to outreach and policymaking.
Our job is to make the Anacostia River and all of its tributaries, including Pope Branch right here, fishable and swimmable. So we're working for a clean and healthy watershed for everybody that lives, works, and plays.
Maryland Sea Grant is based on College Park, and we focus on science serving Maryland's coasts. So in some ways, we're kind of a bridge. We focus on research, education, and communications and outreach.
The mission of One Montgomery Green is to promote sustainability in Montgomery County. We work with residents, businesses, and government to find ways to make our community more sustainable.
The Bay Commission is a tri-state legislative authority. We work on policymaking, laws and budgets at the state and congressional level.
Regulation sounds like the right way to go, but are there trade-offs? What circumstances would make someone disagree with passing certain pieces of legislation?
What we have is hundreds of years of, poor land use and ignorance about how those land use practices impact the bay. It's very difficult to go back and retrofit and restore those things. So it's obviously very expensive. So there is a lot of pushback in places from people who have a vested interest, whether it's farming or mining or business or transportation, to do things that cost them money but might help the bay.
So, what can we do to help?
First things first is do your research, know where you are in your environmental world, so to speak, know your watershed. And then if you want to take that next step, you can do active advocacy. So you can come volunteer, collect water quality samples with us, clean up trash, volunteer in your community for not just our organization, any other organization that you like, something that plants trees. And then if you want to take it one step further, you can kind of get more involved in volunteering. So help lobbying policymakers, help donate more money, stuff like that.
There's much that can be done in terms of engaging locally in perhaps a stream cleanup, something as simple as that. If that's not the kind of thing that you can do, there are ways to get involved in the political process, to look at legislation and bills that are moving forward to address some of the biggest problems we have in our environment.
Examine what you do around your home and in your yard. Reduce your own pollution any way you can. And every year, ask yourself, what can I do this year? And just each year, layer some additional thing on. The other thing to do is, the minute you're of voting age, vote for people who care about environment, care about society.
We are lucky to live in a region that puts environmental stewardship on the forefront of policymaking. However, there are so many things that can be done on an individual level to help combat the pollution of our waterways and maintain the health of the environment and of our communities.
We reap the benefits of being in DC, which is very environmentally focused and puts the environment first above a lot of things.
With all of the ways to get involved, even if it's just changing some of our everyday habits, it is essential that we stay motivated in the fight for environmental and climate justice as a whole.
I think the easy things we've kind of done, and that's left us with the harder things.
I know that with people involved and focused, this Chesapeake Bay can be saved.